considering the fact that the war in Ukraine, or the special military operation that's being carried out by Vladimir Putin in Ukraine, let's be precise, is being blamed for a number of things. Energy prices going up because of the embargoes and sanctions being placed on Russia and the inability to export and so on and so forth, is being blamed on food shortages and inflation, both being blamed on the situation and the conflict in the Ukraine. Should countries like the US and the UK and almost every major Western country, isn't it irresponsible for them to keep supplying weapons to Ukraine to prolong this conflict?
Well, the thing is, I've been thinking about it, right? And because if you watch some of those YouTube things, they would kind of tell you that the reason America under this pressure is because of Biden. Biden and them could do things to stop or you know.
Well, they would say in the case of energy, you know, if he would
start back fracking.
Well, the thing is,
a lot of the people who I saw, they were speaking specifically to the war in Ukraine thing. Okay, right? Mm-hmm. What do you think about it is,
they could be encouraging the parties to settle.
Right.
Yes.
But not any parties, they could be encouraging. What the hell is his name?
Zelensky.
Is Zelensky to?
But you know, you could be encouraging dialogue between the two parties and encouraging the one who is more friendly to you, in this case Zelensky, to be a little bit more compromising. But I mean, you should be setting the table for discussions.
Right.
But they seem to be amping up war.
Well, the thing is, I was thinking about that, but I think the only way they could come to any kind of settlement, it will have to go in Putin's favor now, boy. And all those people don't want anything to go in Putin's favor.
I know that, but what I'm saying is that considering that we are blaming everything on it, and the world's economy, you know, or economies across the world are going into a tailspin. The US is, you know, we see what's happening there. The UK, they just had to raise their it's not the Fed over there, but the Bank of England, they had to raise their rates as well. So they will see some of the same slowdowns, economic slowdowns taking place over there. So all of this is taking place, and normal individuals are feeling lots and lots and lots of pain. Is it right for politicians to be telling their populations, yeah, all they go deal with pain because we don't want that man taking over a piece of a land 1,000,000 miles away from you? We are standing on the principle of democracy, and for that, you little peasant will have to feel some pain for the foreseeable future. Isn't it reckless for politicians to be prolonging? Because when you keep sending weapons to the Ukraine, you are saying, and that's a war the Ukraine cannot win. You know that, unless you are getting involved to go head to head with Russia, you're not going to win. And Putin is not going to give up. You know, or at least he's not going to give up anytime soon. So you're looking at 10, 15 years. Look how long Afghanistan lasted.
20 years?
Yeah. You understand? Dealing with insurgents there. And, you know, Putin not going to just give up and say, because now he will look extremely bad if he gets nothing out of this. If he just, waves the white flag and retreats. So what we're going to do, we're going to prolong this conflict for 10, 12, 13 years while the world feels pain. For what? So when you continue to arm the Ukraine, that's what you're doing. You are prolonging this thing. Why nobody saying, hey, only
because to be fair,
so that we could
but to be fair, because they have the opportunity now to point out a bad person, and they have the opportunity to say, well, because they will say, listen, this Putin, and if Putin stop this stupidness, then we will be okay. Yeah. And they have obviously I understand your point that things are getting better while you pointing out that this person is the bad person. But I think for them, I think their egos don't allow them to. I think their egos just.
Oh, no, I understand that. I don't even think it's egos. I think a lot of this is, it's purposeful. Some people might even say, well, it is to the benefit, the arming of, because I mean, the weapons that they're sending to the Ukraine, it's not that they're giving them away, they're being,
loans.
They're being paid for through loans to the Ukraine. So the companies that produce those weapons, they are doing well. You understand? So, and those companies may very well be, very friendly with, those members of the administration and so on. And some of the banks that are providing, the financial institutions that are providing the funds that are being loaned to the Ukraine in the form of aid, they are also benefiting from, huge interest payments whenever Ukraine begins to repay. So all of these things I think are what are at play, not just ego. But what I'm saying is the population, we don't live in the United States, but I'm saying...
But still because it's still affecting us.
Right.
So even if we had to put pressure on Rowley and Rowley had to put pressure on them, because, he across there by them.
Right, yeah.
Right, so...
Hey, let's bring an end to this thing. Let's have an exit strategy. Now, I understand that it can't be... Everybody's going to have to... Zelensky will have to understand, hey, you will have to make some concessions. And Putin, you may have to make some concessions. Do whatever talks you have to do behind the scene to bring this to a resolution, as opposed to just amping up war, and doing things that would, because the other thing is, after a while, we all saying we feared Putin and Putin is a madman and this and that, right? And we keep saying he's unstable and we don't know what he's going to do. So, but you don't think that the longer this goes on and the more embarrassing it becomes to him, the more desperate he might become? And when he becomes desperate, what could happen? You understand? So...
Things that nuke the shit out of people.
Yeah, so I am just sitting here confused as to why people are not asking the powers that be to be a little bit more... less cavalier in the way they encourage this conflict.
As I say, but I also think that there are some rich people who will benefit because when stock prices fall, you purchase. You get the purchase.
You buy the dip, yeah.
So a lot of people are going to buy the dip. And those are the people who really have an impact on the decision makers in those countries.
Right.
These people who afford to thing. So they start to buy now, right? If we run into an next recession and homes have to sell again at dog cheap prices, they benefit, and then probably you look at all of that too.
Well, as I say, the finances is always at the root of many of these things. None of this is principle. Nobody's, all that's just lofty talk that they talk at the UN conferences, but none of this, all of these are very calculated decisions. And unfortunately, I don't think they're being calculated with the public's interest in mind. But it's just upsetting to me that the public isn't kicking back and saying, hey, listen, bring a resolution to this. Bring a resolution to this. I'm not saying I don't care about what happens to people in Ukraine or whatever, but I would have thought that it would be to everybody's benefit to find swiftly find a resolution to this situation, as opposed to having another prolonged conflict in a pretty volatile part of the world.
No, I think I understand you're saying, but I think that's the world we live in today, right? Right. Everybody is about financial gain, and most of the people on top don't care what the people at the bottom.
No, but what I'm saying, the people on the bottom don't seem to care about themselves. Like, why aren't they?
I think they just give up. I realize our voice is not loud enough. I mean,
I don't think so. I think that if in the United States a very, very loud, even minority, but a very loud minority of people calling for less war hawking in the Ukraine.
The thing is, they're so distracted now by everything else.
Well, right, but the thing is, they're not distracted. They once you make the connection between what you're paying at the gas pump, because they know, and he keeps calling it Putin's price hike. So it's not like if they don't know that is the cause of their problems. As a matter of fact,
so is it that they don't think about the option, or they think about suggesting that to their powers?
I'm wondering why it is they have not begun to do that. Say, hey, listen, I understand the war in Ukraine is caused, but And okay, you're not responsible for the war taking place. But why are you egging it on? You know what I mean? Why are you not trying more stringently to bring an end to the conflict? That's nobody's saying it's your fault that it happens. Nobody's saying that you have to kowtow to Putin.
No, but that's the point I was making. Because some people genuinely believe, that if Trump comes back in power, he will deal with that,
But you're going to wait till 2024 to do that? You're going to wait 2 more years? Your economy could completely collapse by that point.
Do you think some people genuinely believe that? So I guess, and I don't know, probably that is what they're waiting for. Some people, I mean, the thing is, and I don't think that would happen either, because I think there are so many people that hate Trump that even if he is the answer to it, they don't want to even deal with him now, boy. Some people, you understand what I'm saying? The left-wing side of the United States, they could say he could fix cancer, but we don't want him dead. No. That's what I'm saying. So I think it's going to be real interesting, but I've heard a lot of the right-wing people saying if Trump was this would not be going on.
I don't doubt that, but I'm saying is the situation is as it is now, and it's not like if you could call the elections before that. So you're going to wait 2 years. By that time, what's going to happen to the state of the economy? Because I mean, there's a lot. Even if they win the
midterms,
the midterm elections and the congressional and Senate elections or whatever, the Democrats are still going to be in charge of the central government, federal government, and they're still going to have a lot of executive power, a lot of things they could do without the permission of Congress. So it's not you're not going to solve this. You're going to wait 2 years to solve this problem, this a dire problem like what's taking place now. That whole system could fall completely in 6 months. You know what I mean? It could end up like Argentina in the 90s, just like that. You know what I mean? In the 80s, was 80s, 90s. But anyway, Argentina in towards the end of the last century, you could end up like that. You snap your finger. So I think anybody's waiting for Trump or anybody to ride in on a White House in 2024. They're being a little bit retarded. So I think in general, we in the across the world need to start asking, hey, why aren't we looking to bring an end to this thing? Why are we kind of
I think
pushing this thing forward?
I think it's
and encouraging a country to win to fight an unwinnable war.
I think is the same problem we kind of experience with the pandemic. As you were saying, let's look at the alternative. Let's look at, listen, we're locking down, but what happens financially? I think is a similar thing with this situation is what's going on. And because people had this demon to point out, being the what caused the pandemic, right? I think because they have that to point out, people not pressing on who they should press on, just as it happened in the pandemic. People because we could blame it on them now, boy. And I mean, they see people quarreling, Putin, look at Putin causing, Putin. And as I say, if they're calling it Putin price hikes, then it kind of takes away. And most people not going to put all that thought into it. Like I mean, I didn't put that level of thought that you pointed. I just know that people think, well, if Trump come back in power, he go fix it.
My thing is, it feels jarring to me that we would blame so much on the conflict over there and just have no care about trying to stop it. And as I say, actively egging it on.
Well, I think people would quicker hear people say to stop it, get rid of Putin now, boy, because he has been painted as such.
Right, but okay, but the people who saying that they know how that could happen, they have some sort of idea, or they're just talking, or they ask, is what you mean?
Well, I mean, I guess
that's how they feel Putin is replaced by just snapping your finger. You just ask people in Russia, please kindly vote out Putin tomorrow, thanks. I mean, how that's going to happen? I mean, I am saying, I understand if the rest of the world was doing nothing, or was giving humanitarian aid or something to the Ukraine, then fine. We could say, okay, well, we don't want to get involved as two sovereign nations. We don't want to pick sides. Oh, we're going to pick sides, and we're going to say we're going to condemn Russia, and we're going to try our best to help the refugees from the Ukraine. We'll send food and aid, humanitarian aid, and so on. Then that's fine. But when you are sending weapons and saying, we're going to continue to arm the Ukraine, to essentially win a war to fight a war they can never win. The worst, all that can happen is a stalemate. You fight for just so long that somebody gives up, right? And I mean, in a sense, that could be deemed a victory for Ukraine.
Right.
But the point is, you're not going to overpower Russia tomorrow, right? You're not going to be like, hey, well, yeah, we are now the victors, and that's not going to happen. So why are you consistently arming these people to fight a war that will essentially that they cannot win? Why are you doing that? While blaming all the bad things in the world on that conflict. Are you a retard? Like, what is the point of that? Where is it? What is the end goal?
I think the end goal is just to make sure that Putin never win or Putin never come out on top. And if that is at the cost of economies, at the cost of nations.
Well, I don't think that's a calculation anybody's making. I think that's what they're trying to say. But I don't think that's a calculation that anybody's actually making and saying, well, even if it means that my economy goes into a tailspin for the next 10 years, I will stand. They're not doing that. That's what they're saying. You know what I'm saying? That, as we explained before, at the root of this is other motivations, but nobody's consciously saying that.
Right. Because,
I mean, think about it. If your political life, essentially, your political career was hanging in the balance because you could get voted out, because you could blame him for all you want for the situation, but people just know you in power and things going awry.
The thing is, I think what is happening now in the political climate, I think a lot of people doing what they want and they're willing to risk getting voted out. They mightn't say it, but I think they're willing to do what they want, appease their financiers.
They don't,
yeah, right? And if we lose, small thing, we'll catch back at some point. I think that's how I seen people operating now.
True.
Right? It's like
true. They surround themselves with the fanatical base who just kind of keep talking in the ears, making them feel like, you're doing the right thing, and everybody's seen it the way you've seen it. You know what I mean? And they just block the ears to all the negative talk, and they're just servicing the donors.
Yeah, and
maybe, you might be onto something there.
If it fall off, well, we'll catch back some other time, but we make money.
Right.
You understand?
We get what we wanted done.
Yeah, and we get what we wanted done. I think that's what's going on in Trinidad. I think that's what's going on
elsewhere.
Yeah, elsewhere.
True. It might be onto something there. That might be precisely what's going on. People just like, well, if you don't like it, you don't like it, and because when you look at what's happening in the States and you've seen how low the approval ratings are, they're not taking the foot off the pedal.
Listen, it happened under Obama, it happened under Trump, it happened with Biden. They were making decisions and doing things that people didn't like. You're seeing their approval rating dropping, and they just continued.
Yeah, but I mean, none of them was tanking like Biden.
Nobody was tanking like Biden. Right?
Because other people could think, well, I'm unpopular now, but I could catch back. Biden is he's struggling.
Right?
So,
and
they're not. And to your point, he's not taking his foot off the pedal
at all.
He's just wherever we're just going down. We're just going down with the ship.